How do I value the business that Berkshire acquires? Well, the first thing I have to decide when somebody calls me is valuing this business within my circle of competence. I don't know how to value Microsoft. I don't know how to value Oracle. I mean, if Larry Ellison calls me or Bill Gates calls me, and they don't. But if any of those, I don't know, or biotech or anything, I wouldn't know how to value it. I just, I'd wish them well and tell them, I think it's worth twice as much as they think it is, but I'm just not in the mood to buy today. I don't know. So it has to be within my circle of competence. My circle of competence is, businesses I can understand. And when I say understand, I don't mean understand how to use a computer or not use a computer in terms of a computer company. I mean understand what the economic characteristics of the business are and what the company's really going to look like in 5 or 10 or 20 years. Bill Gates will tell you that if he were investing, he would buy Berkshire rather than Microsoft because it's so much easier to understand what our businesses are going to look like, whereas he's in a business where you're going to really have to be doing things differently over time. So I know that Wrigley's is going to be the #1 chewing gum in the country. I know Snickers is going to be the #1 candy bar in the country 10 years from now. It's been the #1 candy bar for 40 years. You don't have to be very bright to understand that when people lay out 50 cents for something that they stick in their mouth, that they're not about to experiment. I mean, so we try to look at businesses we can understand. Now, I got a call a year and a half ago from a fellow, I never heard of him, in Denver. His name was Craig Ponzio. Craig called me up, and never heard of him, and he said, I've got a business, this your kind of business, and I want to sell it. Here's the reasons. Happen to do with health, and although I don't pay much attention to the reasons. And he said, it's the leading company by far in the custom picture frame business. And he said, let me tell you why it has what I call durable competitive advantage. That's what I call durable competitive advantage. He said, let me tell you why it has it. He said, there are 18,000 people that frame pictures in the United States, little mom and pop operations. Every town, Lincoln will have a half a dozen, Alma will have a dozen, and they frame pictures. I go over to get a picture frame, I hand it to somebody, I say, I follow their judgment. I say, biggest thing I want is I want a good-looking frame, and I want it back soon. I want quick delivery. Well, with 18,000 people in that business and a zillion kinds of picture frames, nobody can carry a big inventory because they don't do that much business. I mean, it's not Walmart or something of the sort. Craig Ponzio graduated from a little school up in Wisconsin, went to work in a tiny little firm that made these things. 5 or 6 years later, bought the place when it was doing $3 million a year. Now does $300 million a year, and it totally dominates the wooden custom frame business. Why does it dominate it? It dominates it because it calls on these 18,000 people. It has a sales force calling on them 6 or 8 times a year, and it has 22 plants around the country that can get the frame that the custom framer orders 85% of the time. If they order it by 5 o'clock today, they'll have it by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Now, think of that coverage. That's what the customer wants. They don't care whether they pay $83 or $88 to get the thing framed. You've got something you want done, and you want it done fast. And that little custom framer, those 18,000 people, they want happy customers, and that means speed of delivery and certainty and all that. You couldn't build a distribution system to compete with us. I mean, just think of trying to build a distribution system starting from scratch that would take that business away from us. It can't be done. Well, Craig explained that to me in about 15 minutes. I'd never thought about the custom frame business, but I'd framed pictures or had people frame them for me, and I understood the power of that. That was a Monday. I said, I think we can make a deal. So he came on Wednesday. He came at 9 o'clock, and he left at 10 o'clock. We've had a deal. I've never seen him since. He got the money promptly thereafter. He wasn't going to come to the annual meeting last year, but his wife was sick. He'll probably come this year. He's a good guy. And no one can knock us off in that business. Every time I buy a business, I say to myself, if I had $1 billion and I wanted to go in and compete with these guys, could I knock them off? If you gave me $1 billion and you told me to dislodge Snickers as the #1 candy bar in the country, I don't know how to do it. If you tell me I got $1 billion and I got to make it, or $5 billion, and I got to make it so that Wrigley's, Spearmint, Double Mint, Juicy Fruit, all of those get knocked off the top-selling gum list, I can't do it. Now, if you give me $1 billion and tell me to knock off all the ladies' apparel shops in Lincoln, I'll make mincemeat of them very fast. I mean, I have a very good business myself, but I can destroy that. And the real test is, can some idiot with a lot of money destroy the business you've got if he decides to compete with you? And we try to buy businesses where no matter who comes along, they've got this durable competitive advantage. Those are the three words that count. And you can make that. You may be able to make that decision about companies that I can't make that decision about. They have to be pretty simple for me. But we buy things that, we have Fruit of the Loom underwear. Are people going to quit wearing underwear? Well, who knows? But we sell 44% of all the men's and boys' underwear that goes through Walmart and all of the mass merchandising chains. We've got the lowest costs around. Fruit of the Loom is a name that's been around since 1850 or 60. If you can buy 3 pairs of shorts from us, or 6 pairs or whatever it is, for $5.50 and nobody's going to sell them cheaper, why are you going to buy anything else? So we'll own that unless we mess it up some way. We've got a very potent advertising slogan there. We cover the asses of the masses. Sort of gets to it, doesn't it?